Alright, so we're going to do a pod review on this pepper right over here, and this is called the Puya Pepper. And those pods have literally been on this plant since July, and we're roughly mid-October right now. I'm not sure when I'm going to be putting this video out, but it should be going out pretty soon. And these pods have been on here for a very, very long time. They're finally just starting to turn red now, and they're coming off the plant because at some point I think I'm going to bring the stub of this plant in, and we're going to try to keep this alive, or at least one of them alive. It's no big deal. I have seed for it. I can restart it again, but I really like to maintain structure with my plants, and I like to try to keep at least the base of it alive. Next year or the following year, when it produces peppers, they're usually as large as they're going to get, and they're usually more abundant. So let's pick this one. Came right off. Wow, look at that, guys. That's the Puya Pepper. Puya Tuya. Look at that. You see the insects were trying to eat this thing and destroy it. This pepper has been on here so long, you can see that the stem to the calyx, it's actually getting woody. I mean, look at this. This is like a wood finish on here, like the base of the plant. If you look at the base of the plant down there, you see how it's all woody? Well, this actually started to turn to wood. That's how long this pepper's been on here. It's literally been on there for months. And now it finally turned red, and this thing's very hard. It's not soft in any way. This thing's got some girth to it. Here's another one. We're going to pick this one off. Still a little early for it. Could probably stay in the plant a little longer, but it's good enough. Look at that. There's the other one. Again, you can see the calyxes on these things. Very, very deep, long calyxes. A lot of woodiness to them. Incredible peppers. I do got a few more here. Got 1, 2, 3. I think there's a couple. This plant grew up like 5 feet tall, and then all these Everglade tomatoes grew in around it, and they got tall, and then the whole thing flopped over the fence. So this plant goes up and then turns all the way down. It's hanging on the other side of the fence over here somewhere. It's in and around and in between the whole thing. It's all mangled in there. So I do think there's some pods in there. They're just not ready. They're not big either. So, with that said, let's bring you inside and give you a better look at the Puya. I'm not sure exactly how you say that. If you're from Mexico or Central America, really, anywhere where this pepper's popular, tell me how you say that. Is it Puya or Puya? Puya. You say it like that, Puya. So I don't speak Spanish, as you can tell, or Honduran or Nicaraguan or any of that stuff. That's it. That's a Puya, guys. Look at that pepper. Now, this plant here, I think this one's probably either 2 or 3 years old. It's been around a while, and this is the first year it's actually making nice sized pods. It puts out pods. The problem with this particular variety is when it puts out pods, it puts them out very late in the season, and it just takes forever for these pods to actually turn. If you think poblanos take a long time to turn red, these take even longer. Now, I do believe that this might be considered one of the Holy Trinity of peppers. Not sure which country that would be, because there's several different forms and variations of the Holy Trinity of peppers, which incorporate different varieties depending on the region of Mexico and or the region of Central America. And so there are different forms and variations of the Holy Trinity of peppers, but I do believe the Puya is one of them. Guys, that is absolutely gorgeous looking. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a sweet pepper, if I remember correctly. And just a anomaly to look at. It's a great pepper to grow. It's just, this is something you're going to have to winter over and bring out for several years before you can start getting peppers really this size. This plant really, it doesn't produce pods, and even when it does, like this was already having pods on it. I did everything I could to get it to produce pods, and even then, I don't know why they're turning their sirens on. There's no cars or anything around here. But even then, after having these pods come out as early as July or mid-July sometime, they were coming out. even as early as then, the pods literally took forever to get to this color. I mean, they got to this size probably by the first week of August, maybe the end of July. They were already this big, and they just sat there green forever. Forever and ever and ever. And now we're in October, and it just started turning red now. And what a battle it was to get to this stage, guys. Trust me, this was not an easy one. Not an easy one. It's a challenge. It's doable, but it's a challenge. It's a long season plant. All right, so let's turn you around and give it a go. All right, guys, we're doing another pod review today. It's going to be on this pepper right here, and this pepper is called the Puya Pepper. Puya Tuya. So here it is. This is the big Puya. And this thing literally took forever for it to ripen and become a edible pepper, I guess you would say. You can see the cap on this thing. Look at the cap on this particular variety of pepper. It literally started turning to wood. It's been on there so long. Like the rest of the stem gets woody. That's what's happening right here. This is literally turned to wood. It took a long time. It took me many years to get a pepper this size off it. In general, to grow them in pots, not with this pepper. This pepper needs to be grown outdoors in full sunlight from, 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. at night during the summer months. And it needs all of that light in order for this pepper to get to where it needs to get to. If not, it's just going to sit there. It's going to make the pepper. It's going to sit there green forever. I don't know. They supposedly dry these and they turn them brown. I'm not sure if they turn brown after they're reddened or you turn them brown when you pick them green. I don't know. But here it is, and let's give it a taste test. Man, I really had to clear my mouth out to get all those pieces of skin out of my mouth because the skins on this thing are extra thick and hard. And this pepper is really grown for drying. It's not really a pepper you want to eat fresh, though we are going to talk about eating it fresh and what it tastes like. But this is primarily a drying pepper. I don't know if you pickle it. I guess you could cut it into rings and then pickle them. But the skins were really thick on them, and that's a sign of a good drying pepper. I mean, they were thick. It took me about a minute just to clear my mouth out of the pieces because I gotta talk, and I can't talk with all that stuff in my mouth, or else it's gonna come flying out of my mouth, and it ain't gonna be very camera presentable. So I had to get all these little pieces out of my mouth. In fact, I still got some in there. I gotta keep spitting them out just to get the pieces out. A very hard, thick-walled, thick-skinned pepper. Thin wall. If you look at the wall on this, you can see the wall thickness is quite thin. It's not really thick at all. It's very thin. So this will probably dry out really nicely. In fact, the other one that I got, I'm just going to take the seeds out of it, but I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to dry that in my dehydrator to see what color it turns. I'm pretty sure it's going to turn brown because that's the way they're sold in the store. And that's what I'm going to do with the other one. Now, as far as the taste on this thing, the sugar on this thing was well over 50% in the sweetness. I mean, this thing was super sweet, sugar sweet. This thing was like eating candy. That's how sweet it was, guys. It was so sweet, I couldn't really pick up the flavors of the pepper. It was just all sugar. I mean, this thing is very sweet, guys. Way up there. Let me take another bite and try to grab any other flavors. Man, getting these skins out of your mouth is a pain in the neck. It was very sweet. I'm not tasting too much of a peppery flavor, though I do taste a slight type of bell pepper type flavor a little bit. Very slightly, though. It's mostly just sweetness and crunching up these skins. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's crunching into this thing is like literally biting into an unripened, hardened apple. If you ever done that, or an unripened pear, it's really hard and you gotta gnaw on it. Forget about chewing. It's like gnawing. This thing is really hard to chew. Well, it's actually easy to chew. I shouldn't say that. It's very easy to chew. I chewed it up, but it was laborsome. It wasn't like I was able to chew it up and then swallow. I had to chew this thing for a little while and to break it down enough so I can swallow it. The skins are very thick, So if you're swallowing bigger pieces of skin, it's like swallowing wood chips. I mean, this thing's very, very thick skinned. Very, very thick. Again, as far as I can tell, I would have to say that this is a drying pepper. This is not really meant to be eaten fresh in your salads, though you could if you cut it up enough, or if you put it in sauces and stuff, you can eat it fresh that way. But this is for drying. It's a very hard pepper. It's very, very hard. It's hard like a piece of wood. I mean, this thing is very unusual. I mean, I just did a review on the Kumra cherry, and that was very similar as far as the hardness and the thickness of those skins. This is very similar to that in that effect. It's just very coarse. Very delicious tasting, though. Not much tanginess. Very low on the peppery flavor. Probably all changes once you dry it out. But the sweetness was very, very strong. Very heavy. That's like very pronounced. That was like the majority of the flavor was the sweetness. Then you get like an aftertaste after you swallow that. There's the aftertaste that kind of lingers. And so that flavor tends to build and change a little bit. So that's where you start picking up the more of the peppery flavors, a little bit of the tanginess, and it kind of just hangs around in the back of your tongue a little bit, and you savor that flavor. So it's very nice that way. So far, there's no heat on this pepper at all, though it's going to take a lot to work my way up to the top of this thing, but so far it's a sweet pepper, so there's no heat on it. I'm very curious to see what this tastes like dried. I'm pretty sure it's not going to taste anything like what I'm telling you once you dry it. So I will be drying that one out and trying that out. Maybe I'll do a video on a taste test with this dried, and then you can see the difference between it like this and then what it looks like when it's dried, and then we can taste it and actually give you an idea of how different the flavor is going to change once it's dried. I think I should do that. But it's a really nice pepper. Definitely worth growing. It's a late season pepper, guys. This is not something you're going to get pods like this in July. Not happening. This pepper doesn't want to put out fruit and grow the fruit early in the season. It likes that time of the year where the sun starts to get more orange, the sun's setting back off to the horizon, and it doesn't like that spectrum of light in midsummer. It just likes that late season sunlight and temperature, when the temperatures start dropping, for it to really flower and fruit, really, mostly. Though these fruits did come out a little bit on the early side, these were coming out in basically July. But again, guys, I'm growing these indoors for years, so after a while it starts putting out fruits based on how I'm doing the lighting on the inside. But even though it did that, it didn't want to flower out here into natural sunlight. Like, it had these fruits hanging, but it didn't want to flower again until later in the season, like mid-August. And then it starts putting out other fruits then. It's not a highly productive plant, but the peppers that do come off it have a very unique characteristic to it. You would really want to use this for very certain purposes. This wouldn't be your average garden variety of pepper. To be honest with you, you'd have to know a lot more about, Mexican cuisine and Central American and South American cuisine, where this pepper is primarily used. For general cooking, you can apply it, but it's really, there's a lot of other better choices. So I don't know what else to say about it, but I would definitely grow this as an interest if you want to learn a little bit more about the Puya pepper and how that pepper grows and works. Again, there's the cap on it. You can see the cap on it is literally like wood. That's how long that cap has been on this plant for. Even the stem, if you look at the stem on it, it's starting to get woody. I mean, this thing like was turning into a piece of wood. I mean, seriously, guys, this is something else. This was a trip growing this thing. So I might bring it in for the winter. We'll see if we can keep it alive, at least the base part of it. And then we'll bring it in. We'll see if we can keep it going. And then next year, I'll try planting it somewhere else where it gets full sun by itself and see if we can get it to maybe fruit a little earlier, depending on where I plant it. It's hard to say. But anyway, that was your pod review for the Puya pepper. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.